Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar about visualizing climate-related policies with e-Access. My name is Sophie Sparks. I'm the community manager here at the Information Lab, and it's my absolute pleasure to have such a great set of talented people joining me today to talk about how we at the Information Lab have helped e-Access visualize their climate-related policies. Now, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to my colleague and head of TIL Plus, Bene. Bene, if you could take over the screen share and unmute yourself and introduce what work we've done and who we have joining us today.
Absolutely, Sophie. Thank you so much. Thank you, Anastasia. Thank you, Jana. Thank you, Sadia, for being here. Very exciting. I'm Benedetta. I'm the head of consultant supported development at the Information Lab and the Data School, which is a program that we run of 2.5 years where we teach Tableau and Alteryx and many other things. And also I'm the creator of TIL Plus. So TIL Plus is an initiative of the Information Lab to help NGOs to make sense of their data. So we really, really believe in sharing our expertise to drive social change. And that's how we met Anastasia. Anastasia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. My name is Anastasia Pappas. I'm the founder and director of, president actually, of the Access Forum. So let me share my screen. Here. Okay, good. So I guess everything is clear and you can see my slides.
We sure can.
Perfect. Okay, as I said before, I am the president of the e-Access Forum. The forum is a non-profit research organization that was founded in March of 2021. It's headquartered in the US. And our aim is to catalyze the engagement of scholars and decision makers who are working on policies towards achieving a sustainable economy. Now, economists who are working on climate change risk mitigation are faced with many challenges. Why is that? Climate change is a phenomenon that affects every sector of the economy. Some sectors more, some sectors less, but this implies that a policy that is aimed at safeguarding one sector of the economy might inadvertently damage another sector of the economy. There is huge uncertainty about how climate will evolve going forward. That means that are we close to a tipping point? A catastrophic climate event where there is no going back from. We don't have data to understand how physical risks associated with climate change are affecting household decisions, manufacturing, the financial sector, and how these risks are being transmitted into the economy. But most importantly, there's a huge disagreement between scholars and policymakers about who is the right authority to implement policy. Should it be the government with the elected officials and the implementation of fiscal policies, or should the central banks participate in and facilitate the transition to a net zero economy? So how did we think we were going to contribute to this issue? Well, we developed a theory that the best way to answer and find solutions to some of the challenges is by connecting theory to policymaking. Why is this a good approach? Well, because theory enables us to understand at a granular level the issues and enable policymakers to understand the exact impact of different policies the risks associated with the transition to a net zero economy, and how to best achieve the goals that they were set out by the Paris Treaty in 2015 and from the recent COP26 conference. Towards this goal, we decided to develop two trackers. One is the Green Monetary and Financial Policies Tracker, which maps the policies that have been implemented around the world. And then the other tracker is the literature on climate macroeconomics and finance, which reviews the literature on climate economics and organizes it around relevant clusters. Now, what was the issue really we were facing with these trackers? Well, it was a huge data set where data points were basically increasing exponentially, and at the same time, a rather complex data set. So just to give you an example about the monetary policy tracker, in 2004, there were 4 policies related to climate change risk mitigation. By 2020, there were 401 policies. In particular, since 2015, which is when the Paris Climate Agreement was enacted, there was an increase of 180% in policies that were related to climate change. As for the literature tracker, the situation was even worse because the universe of working papers and publications was huge and was dealing with a myriad of different subjects. So, for example, there was a group of research that was trying to understand the right modeling framework to analyze the impact of climate change on the economy. Another group that was actually trying to figure out the impacts, the exact impacts of climate change on the economy, how these impacts were being transmitted into household decisions, the financial sector, the production sector, etc. And then which policies are the best to tackle both the physical risk of climate change, but also the risks associated with the transition to a sustainable economy. So there was a group of research discussing monetary policies and their effectiveness, financial policies and their effectiveness, and the fiscal policies and their effectiveness. So the challenge basically was to use a large data set that was complex, both in terms of the parameters according to which they needed to be organized, but it was also important to understand how this research was linked to policies. So in other words, policies that have been implemented, what type of effect have had on carbon emissions? Did they were they efficient? What does research say about that? So we thought the best way to go about was to create a visualization, 2 visualizations of the 2 trackers, because the actual goal was to enable scholars to use these trackers and as an indispensable tool for their work. And for this to happen, we needed this information to be well organized, user accessed in a user-friendly way, and for someone to be able to get a comprehensive view at a glance. To this goal, we were really lucky to collaborate with the TIL Plus team, and in particular, Benedetta, Gianna, and Sadia, who enabled us to organize our database, even though I'm not sure we were so clear in explaining to them how we wanted the final presentation to be, but they were very quick at understanding how, the data needed to be organized And at the same time, they came up with designs, visualization designs that really achieved the goal that we had set out for us. Now, both trackers and visualizations are still work in progress, but we have already received some pretty good feedback of their usefulness and how easy it is to use them, and how scholars are able to get information nowhere else available. And I should also add that the team not only helped us in the best possible way to organize our trackers, but they've also trained our 2 research associates in such a way so that in the future and up to a certain degree, we could actually be able to manage these visualizations rather independently. So thank you very much for your great work. That's it.
Thank you for going over that, Anastasia. Sadia and Jana, would you like to take over and tell us a little bit about how you actually met this challenge and how you built the final dashboard? I've posted the link to it in the chat so people can go ahead and look at it.
Sure, thanks, Sophie. So I'll go first. So me and Sadia took half and half of the project. So my name is Jana, and as part of the project with eAxis, I worked on creating the Green Monetary and Financial Policies Tracker, so GMFP tracker for short. And I'm sure Sophie's just posted the link to that tracker there. But the tracker is meant to be a visual database of monetary and financial policies that have been implemented by central banks and supervisory institutions around the world. And the idea that eAxis had is that they wanted this public tool where anyone can come in and be able to look at a comprehensive and structured view of what sort of climate-related policies have been implemented in the different countries. And like Anastasia mentioned, they had a very big raw data set, and they had a lot of information that they collected, which is really amazing, actually, of the different climate change policy or climate-related policies that split into financial and monetary policies. And of course, all the information related to the research and what countries and when it was implemented, etc. And they had this brief idea of what they wanted in terms of the visualization. So we tried to capture just in literally just a PowerPoint, just to understand the sort of functionality that they wanted in the visual. So I'm sure you can see my screen, Sophie.
I can.
Okay, great. So this was the initial idea. So as mentioned, this is because we're mainly looking at financial and monetary policies. They wanted to see that as separate segments. So they wanted it sort of like a drill down where at the highest level, they would have monetary and financial policies. And then when they click into either of them, it would go into these secondary policy types that fall within monetary policies or financial policies. And then when they click into these secondary policies, they'll be able to see individual policies and all the information relating to that. As well as this, they also wanted a map view. Of course, just seeing a map view gives you a nice bird's eye view of all the different policies that have been implemented in each of the countries. And, you know, as well as that, maybe filters as well, where they can say, you know, if we want to just filter to look at monetary policies, how many monetary policies have been filtered? How many monetary policies have been implemented in specific countries? So they wanted basically just to create an interactive tool where someone coming in with a certain question can filter and drill down to find the specific information that they're looking for. And then, of course, as well as this, they wanted the classic table as well, because some people just find it easier to digest this information in this structured view. as well. So they wanted this ability to be able to see the information as a table view as well. So we went through a couple of iterations during the process, and we came up with the final visualization. And like Anastasia said, this is still a work in progress, but since I've worked on this, we've also had people from E-Axis that we trained who made improvements to this, and creating these reset view buttons and everything. So it's something that both I worked on, but now is being maintained by people at E-Axis as well. So to start off, this is the landing page. So this is the first page that a user would see when they come into this page, and it's embedded in the E-Axis website. In the landing page, we see there's these buckets of policies, financial policies, monetary policies, and any additional policies that are in the data. From this, we created a drill down. So if you click into monetary policy, there you go. You'd see the breakdown of the different secondary policies that fall under monetary policies. And if I say, for example, wanted to look at domestic asset purchases, if I click into that, we now get this table view of the individual policy name, the country that it was implemented, the date it was implemented or is to be implemented. And then there's also this link to policy page. So if I click on, let's say, UK, and I wanted to find out more information about this policy, I can click on more info. And it will take us to this policy page where it gives you more information, the description of what the policy is, what the deciding institutions, implementing institutions, etc. are. And we also have this link to the research relating to the policy. So I just literally clicked on that, and now we have more information relating to that policy. So this tool kind of acts as an index as well. So once you have what you're looking for, you can go then branch out from that to find out more information relating to it. From this page, I can also, if I wanted to find out what other policies the UK have, I can click show all policies in the UK. And I can click amendment to 2006, and I can see more information relating to that policy as well. From this page, there's also the option to navigate back to the landing page, or we have something else called a map overview. So because we've already had a look at the landing page, I'll go into the map overview. So this map overview, as mentioned in the brief, is just an overview of the number of financial and monetary policies that have been implemented in each of the countries, which is represented by the size of the circle. And the circles that are in red indicate that the countries with these red circles don't have any financial or monetary policies. So it's a way to quickly come in and see information relating to that. The reason that this map overview is important is because it gives economists a clearer view of what central banks are doing and not what is touted by the media. An example of that is, for example, as we've probably heard, Bank of England is considered to be a leader in climate change mitigation policies. So if we actually look at the data and hover over the UK, we can see actually, in fact, only one policy, only one monetary policy has been implemented in the UK. But if we compare that to, for example, Sweden, they've implemented actually 3 monetary policies. And this is important because it sheds some light on the debate over whether central banks should adjust their monetary policy framework to incorporate climate change considerations. And of course, this is also important because these are the type of policies that help to boost and support green innovation. Another thing that we can also see from the map is that China actually has a lot of policies that they've implemented, both financial and monetary. And that's second to the EU, who have about 22 policies that they've implemented. Now, if we actually compare that to the US only seem to have one financial policy that they've implemented. If similar to the landing page, we can find out more information about the policy. So if I click into US, we can see it's the insurer's climate risk disclosure survey that they have. And to find out more information about this policy, I can click into here. And I can also link into the research relating to this policy. So there's a lot of ways that you can go back and forth and explore the data. We've got filters on the side as well. So if you wanted to look at, let's say, we can look at the UK. We can see the breakdown of the number of financial policies, monetary policies, and any additional policies as well. We can reset the filters and reset the view. And we can select whether we want to look at countries that are part of G20 or the NGFS network as well. So as you can see, there's a lot of ways that you can explore the data using this tool. And I hope this helps aid a lot of future conversations relating to climate economics. So I also want to use this opportunity to thank Anastasia for this opportunity, because it's been a really enjoyable experience working on this, and I've learned so much from creating this tool as well. So thank you. And with that, I'll pass on to Sadia, who will talk about the other half of the project that she was working on.
Thank you, Jana. I'll just share my screen. And hopefully everyone can see that. So as Jana said, I worked on the second half of this project, which was to create a dashboard that tracks the literature on climate change, macroeconomics, and finance. We created a dashboard that houses all of the literature on climate change in one place, which makes it a lot easier to search for rather than having to look them up one by one. What we started off with was to create a classification tree, which is this first dashboard that you're seeing here. And we grouped the literatures within two main groups, which was to understand climate-related risks and address climate-related risks. Within the main group, you then have another group that houses all of the literatures. And then within those groups, we have subgroups directly below. So the way to read the dashboard would be first you would choose whichever group you want to look at. And then you would see the next group. And then directly under that will be the subgroup. So for physical risks, for example, we have the subgroups of empirical and modeling. And as you hover over each square, you will see a little note that tells you what sort of literatures are within that, and it gives you a little definition. On the right-hand side here, we have some controls, and these controls allow you to exclude or include several different variables. So for example, the publication status, geographic focus. You can choose what sort of methods you want to look at, and whatever you choose in here will impact the dashboard and narrow down what literatures you'll be able to view. You can even write in a title if you wanted to, or an author, and then that will give you narrow down to just all of the literatures by that particular author. And the way this dashboard works is if you were to click on any of the boxes, so if we clicked on physical risks, it will open up a table just underneath. Just a moment. There we go. So it will open up a table just underneath that will give you all of the titles within physical risks. So that is including all the titles within the two subgroups as well. And here you'll see the title, the author, the journal that title is published in, the publication year, how many citations it has, and then you can also click on this button that says link. So once you've chosen a title you're interested in, you can click on this button that says link, and similarly to the dashboard Jana showed you, it will take you to this publication information page that shows you all of the information regarding that piece of literature, including an abstract that explains what that literature is about. And if you need any more information, you can then click on this icon here, and this will take you to where this documentation originates. And here you can find further information, download the publication, and anything else that you'd like to read up on. So from here, you can go back to the classification tree, or you can go to the heat maps. I will take you to the heat map, as we've already seen the classification tree. And here we decided to add another way to organize the literatures, and a different way to be able to search the literature that you're looking for. So this time we created a heat map that organizes the literatures according to climate impact and dependent variable. So each box is giving you a combination of the two, and then how many literatures are within that group. So for example, within extreme weather events and economic costs, there are 5 pieces of literature that are regarding those two things. And the darker the square, the higher the number, the darker the square. So the more literatures that are within it, the darker the square will be. So if, again, we have got similar controls on here as well, so you can narrow down, and as you narrow down and exclude things that you're not interested in seeing, you'll see that the numbers will also decrease within the boxes. So if we again were to click on the number 5 here, so if we're looking at extreme weather events and economic costs, we can see all of the titles that will come up within those. And here you'll again get the information of the author of that title and the publication year. And once again, you can click on the link, and that will take you to the publication information for that title. And again, an abstract that explains what that literature is about. And again, you can click on the link, and that will take you to the publication document online as well. So you're able to download it from there and look at it a little bit more. So again, we wanted to make something that would make it a lot easier to look up the literature and look up individual papers, and also just a nicer way for you to explore them and narrow down what you're most interested in seeing. And this will always be up to date with the relevant information, because these dashboards are connected to a live database that's constantly being updated with the most relevant information. So you'll always have whatever the most up-to-date information is. That is everything from me. So I will pass back over to Bene now.
Thank you, Sadia. Thank you, Jana. I mean, I've been watching this already a couple of times, but your work is so stunning here. And thank you, Anastasia, for giving us this opportunity. I just want to spend a few words explaining a little bit about TIL Plus and why we do this as a company. So obviously, as we have understood, data sits at the heart of each business decision, but often the NGO sector don't have the resources and the skill set that they need in order, obviously, to create this sort of visualizations. I really liked, Anastasia, your slide with the raw data and then the visualization very clear, like a very clear line, because this is really what is happening all the time with data. Data are complex, and you need skills in order to make this compelling, easy to read dashboards. And as a company, we have a program called the Data School, which I was part of, and Sadia and Jana are currently doing the Data School at the moment. And it's a program where we skill up people on technical skills. And to to me, it makes so much sense, obviously, to then use these skills on the NGO sector and try, of course, drive social change and share our expertise and our knowledge. Over the years, we have proudly supported almost 15 organizations. We have partnered with the United Nations Development Program, so we are helping them. We have a former colleague of us that is working there at the moment, and we are helping them. So we are super proud. And I think the real outcome that we get, as it was mentioned before, is employee satisfaction, because really the Sadia and Jana and all our volunteers are able to collaborate and work in this stunning and amazing project, and super valuable. We are talking about a time where we just had the COP26, and now we have the opportunity to work on climate change, which is amazing for us. It's amazing for our employees and everything. So definitely employee satisfaction, the variety of projects that we have the chance to work on, and also brand recognition, because as I said, we have lots of like in-house technical skills that we want to reuse and share among the community. So we are very, very proud, and thanks again to Sadia and Jana, because your work has been amazing here.
Thank you so much, Bene, for that conclusion, and also for letting everyone know what we do at TIL+. And thank you, Sadia, Jana, and Anastasia for joining us today. We're just on time, so if anyone does have any questions, if you could type them into the chat box for me. But I have one question for you guys. I was wondering, Anastasia, if you could tell us what the impact has been of these dashboards so far. Have they helped you in the way you think they would have, even though they've only been there for a little while, I understand?
Absolutely. We actually had a launch event at the end of August with the two trackers, not fully, far from it actually, completed. And our research assistants walk through the two trackers, much like that Jenna and Sadia did today. And we got incredible feedback in the sense that they were very well organized, they were very clear, they were conveying interesting information, and they have already started being used, despite the fact that they're very much still work in progress. The literature tracker needs the second group to be populated, and the policy tracker has a completed first stage, but there are more things to add. But much like Benedetta said, now with COP26, you hear so many comments coming from journalists and things written, and it's so important to have a tool like this where the information is accurate, because it's taken from the websites of the central banks and regulatory institutions and highlighted in a very organized and accurate way. So it helps you put all the stuff you hear in good perspective, at the very least. So what I'm trying to get at, it's not just for scholars, these two trackers, is also for anyone who is interested to see, have we made any progress since the Paris Agreement? Is China really so much behind the curve or not? And these are important issues if one wants to have an informed view and opinion about something so important as climate change.
Thank you so much, Anastasia. And it's great to hear that their trackers are already having an impact so soon after they were made. Only within it sounds like a few weeks of them, that even the draft version's going up. It's great to know that the work that Jana and Sadia have done has made an impact so quickly, and that we were able to help so much. I don't see any other questions coming in, so since we're just over time, thank you so much all for joining us. Thank you, Bene, for introducing everyone and telling everyone about the work we do at TIL Plus. And thank you so much, Jana and Sadia, for building such a great tracker. And I hope everyone has a lovely afternoon. Thank you for joining us.